Hi, I'm Claire Morrison, Election Information Services Director for the League of Women Voters Como area. And this is a recorded forum with candidates for Cibolo City Council Place 3 on the November 4th, 2025 ballot. The four candidates for this place are Joe Armstrong, Maria Fishback, Marissa Ellen Patterson, and Charles Rupert. We have three of the four candidates today. So thank you to Mr. Armstrong, Ms. Fishback, and Ms. Patterson for providing voters with this opportunity to learn more about them as candidates. Before we start, a few comments about the League and the forum structure. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit 501c3 that does not support or oppose any candidate or political party. Our mission is to empower voters and defend democracy. We envision a democracy in which every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. In this forum, our goal is to give each candidate the opportunity to state what they think and what they plan to do if elected. To begin, each candidate, in alphabetical order, will have an opportunity to make a 1-minute opening statement. The moderator will then direct questions to the candidates in rotating order. Candidates should respond to the questions by discussing the issues and not their opponents. And each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. At the end, each candidate will have 1 minute to make closing remarks. This forum is being recorded and will be posted to the Como Area League's YouTube channel. Okay, so to begin, Mr. Armstrong will have your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Joe Armstrong here. I'm presently a member of the City of Cibolo Historic Committee. I'm retired from the U.S. Army. I'm a member of the VFW, Veterans of Foreign War. Professional career, I'm retired as a medical laboratory scientist. I was at the director level. Community involvement is the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber Military Affairs Committee, and my education, a bachelor in management and a master's degree in public administration. I'm also 24 years as a Texas peace officer, presently serving as a reserve peace officer in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Next, Mrs. Fishback, your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate being here and being able to tell everybody about what my vision is. I am a 21-year resident of the city of Cibolo. I love my community. I currently serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I've been on that board for a little over 2.5 years. I'm very familiar with the inner workings of the city. The things that I care about are my community, right? Our first responders. I care about our infrastructure. I care about our property taxes. And my goal would be to grow our commercial base, because if we can do that, if we can grow the commercial base, then we can help offset some of the property taxes so that then we are able to grow our police force, make sure that our fire department is fully staffed, make sure that we have the budget and the money that we need to make sure that our infrastructure is also in place so that we can attract these great, wonderful businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Patterson, your 1-minute opening statement.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women Voters of the Kamal area for having us here. My name is Marissa Ellen Patterson. I'm a proud military spouse and military child. I've had the privilege of both living overseas and across the U.S. And I would say the big thing about that experience is it's really taught me the value of community, resilience, and service. And so my campaign focuses really on just a few core areas. The first is smart, sustainable growth. The next is making sure that we have safe and connected neighborhoods, and then also community or innovative community solutions, and really bringing the community together and amplifying their voices to make sure that we're advocating on their behalf for what that means. So that's going after things like development that's fitting in with our infrastructure, and that's also protecting the city of Cibolo's character, fixing roads and sidewalks, but also improving like mobility and accessibility throughout the city. And how are we strengthening? Oh, sorry. 1 minute goes really fast.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to our first question, and the first question will be from Ms. Fishback first. The fiscal year 2026 budget increases the property tax rate about 4.4% above the no new revenue tax rate to maintain city services. How would you balance the need to fund services with the desire to keep the tax burden low for residents?
Right. So thank you for that question. So yeah, back to my opening statement where I emphasized that my goal is to grow the commercial base because I think that sales tax revenue is a very important aspect of trying to offset our rooftop, right, our property taxes. And if we can bring in bigger businesses, we are currently thriving. We do have quite a few businesses that have come to the city of Cibolo, but if we can bring bigger businesses, right, H-E-B's, Walmart's, Lowe's, Home Depot's, any of those bigger box stores, it would definitely help with our sales tax revenue because any one of those businesses can yield Cibolo anywhere between $900,000 to $1.3 million a year. And if we can bring that type of business in, then those sales tax revenues will definitely help to offset the property taxes so that maybe instead of going up, we can start lowering them, and also to help build our accounts so that we can start putting in the infrastructure in all the available land that we have so that we can continue to attract these great businesses, and then also to help maintain our current infrastructure. That would be my goal of how I would try to bring down the rooftop property taxes, and that would be by increasing the sales tax revenue. Thank you.
Ms. Patterson, the 2026 budget increases the property tax rate about 4.4% above the no new revenue rate to maintain city services. How would you balance the need to fund services with the desire to keep the tax burden low for residents?
Hey, thanks for that question. I think very similarly, it's getting after that smart, sustainable growth in where are we growing within Cibolo and bringing in those new businesses that can help generate some of that tax revenue for us so that it can alleviate that burden on our residents so we don't have to raise taxes. And then what's so great about that is bringing in new businesses also can help with some of the infrastructure issues that we're having right now with some of our roads and services, that we can use that money towards that while still making sure that we're preserving our city's character. So a lot of people I've talked to is really that smart, sustainable growth. We are growing very rapidly, but to ensure that we are bringing in those new businesses and looking in some of the different areas that we can continue to grow in Cibolo.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong, the 2026 budget increases the property tax rate about 4.4% above the no new revenue rate to maintain city services. How would you balance the need to fund services with the desire to keep the tax burden low for residents?
I could almost go ditto ditto, ladies. Miss Fishback is correct, and Miss Patterson is correct. There's a lot of empty stores down around Chick-fil-A and everything. They're empty, not full yet. Along 78, from 1103 along 78, getting businesses up there, getting the, like Miss Fishback said, the large stores, like Target or any of the other big stores. They're on point, and I agree with them.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so our next question will go to Ms. Patterson first. Public safety represents more than half of the city budget. How would you measure whether additional investments in police and fire are producing improved community outcomes?
Great question. So I previously used to work in violence prevention, and I've actually talked with the police chief about, what are the top 3 concerns that we have right now in the city? And it is some of that crime, like breaking into houses and into cars, but it's also getting after things like domestic abuse is our second issue, and then mental health is our third issue. And so it's working as a community to prevent those issues. I think one of the things that the city has already invested in and that I really like that they're continuing to do are the devices that actually auto scan for if you're speeding or running a stop sign, that's taking those pictures of your car, that are just sending tickets in the mail versus having to have our force out there focusing on that. I think that's one part of the analysis is looking at, well, how much are those cameras currently in place working. And then it's really looking at what is some of the different type of analysis that we need to be looking at with how many people we have in our city, what our expected growth rate, and really comparing that to other cities, looking at what our crime rate is, how are we working to reduce that down, and what additional people do we need to staff and add to that. Because as we continue to grow, we have to continue investing in those type of emergency services, in our police, in our paramedics, in our police department for the safety of our community. And I think that goes very hand in hand in what we need to spend to bring on those additional people. But there has to be some, I would say, some data analysis and looking into some of that workforce analysis as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mr. Armstrong. Public safety represents more than half of the city budget. How would you measure whether additional investments in police and fire are producing improved community outcomes?
Well, this may be my forte. I've been 24 years as a Texas police officer. I know the chief in Cibolo, shirts and Converse, very well. Believe it or not, in a small community, it's a revolving door among officers because a new officer comes in, he gets trained and everything like that, and a lot of times they transfer out. So it's a revolving door. There's always looking for candidates to bring candidates in to train. So this may be an issue, as far as, but it can't be helped because we're a small community and that's what happens, But there's going to be an increase in people in Cibolo, and law enforcement's going to have to come in. More traffic, maybe. Community policing is very good. If we put some cops downtown Cibolo on bicycles, like they do down the Riverwalk, that helps a lot too. So there's a lot of things that go on as far as keeping a safety and police and making sure that the police are rotating through these different communities. I've never seen the police through Heights of Cibolo, patrol go through. So maybe increase that, increase the safety, make it aware, make people aware, aware in communication between the police and the public and the different HOAs. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So Mrs. Fishback, public safety represents more than half of the city budget. How would you measure whether additional investments in police and fire are producing improved community outcomes?
Well, thank you again for that question. I agree with my colleagues. Everything they said is on point. I also want to add that we have one of the leanest police forces around our sister cities. My biggest concern, even though that they have over 50% of the budget, it is that we are understaffed, right? And as great as it would be to have our police out do community policing, right, and out meeting everybody, we're just so lean that we need to grow our force before we can actually consider something like that. Although I know that they're doing a fabulous job, they do quarterly meet and greets, right, with the community. They'll have pizza with the popos. They'll have, right, different coffee with the cops, right? They do different things to get just the community to get to know their own police force. Our fire department is not as lean, thankfully, but I still think that there's room to grow that budget a little bit more just to make sure that we can be better staffed all the way around, that we can have the funds to make sure that the equipment is running well, that they have everything that they need. And if we can grow the force so that we can have some of these other things where they can go out into the community, so we can have the police force out there and being more interactive, right? Other than, because we got stopped or because, something has happened and we need help. That is what my goal is to improve that. And of course, to do that, the only way to do that would be to grow the commercial base, right? Because again, it's all about the money. It's how much money we can bring in so that we can grow our force. Currently we have a dispatch that we share with our sister city. And so they help us to respond to our emergency services. So we're very grateful for that. But if we can do that here within our own city, that would be amazing. Thank you.
You. All right. Our third question will go first to Mr. Armstrong. Continued drought has highlighted water as a critical issue. How would you strengthen Cibolo's approach to water conservation?
Oh my, that's a toughie for me as far as water is concerned. There has to be communications among the different HOAs and different communities as far as watering their lawn, conserving. Maybe they can only do it on a Monday and a Wednesday or a Friday or whatever. That's one way of helping. But also too is checking to make sure that people are not in violation. One of the biggest things, and I know in San Antonio, is conservation of water through water in their lawn and stuff like that. That's the only way that I really know how to conserve water or where the water is coming from. Um, Ladies, you may know more than me as far as water is concerned, but conserving water versus lawn and when you can water your lawn is very, very important. And among the whole community, Cibolo, it'd be a lot of water.
Okay, thank you. Next, Ms. Fishback. Um, Continued drought has highlighted water as a critical issue. How would you strengthen Cibolo's approach to water conservation?
So that's another great question, right? So not only to add to the conservation of our water, but also we need to seek out other partnerships outside of our area, right? We need to grow those partnerships. We have to start, and I'm sure that we're doing that. I'm pretty sure that our city manager is doing that, but I think that we need to be more proactive in seeking out other partnerships so that we can bring in more water to Cibolo, so that we can be guaranteed water, right? Not just for 10 years, but for 30, 40, 50 years to come. Also, I think that when we have those occasions, when we have the deluge, right, when we have the downpours, I think the city also needs to look into building a water catchment system. And again, that takes money. So again, it's growing the base. But I think that a water catchment system would be very helpful to our city. We do have a couple of water towers, but I think that if we can build more, that would be a tremendous help. So in the times when we do get so much rain that we can capture it and we could have it as an emergency supply. We currently have partnerships and leases and rights to water, but we need to keep those. We have to keep those. We need to guard our resources and then we need to grow them. And I think that by perhaps hiring a water consultant, they could help us grow our water base even more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Patterson, continued drought has highlighted water as a critical issue. How would you strengthen Cibolo's approach to water conservation?
I think there's a couple things that we can do, and really just echoing same as what my colleagues have said. I think we're all very aligned in a lot of our views going forward is what are we doing, first of all, to make it easy for residents to conserve water? What is the messaging that we're giving them? What are the tools that we're giving them? How are we helping them to do some of that water waste like catch off so that they can be utilizing that? I think we also need to really look at our partnerships too. What are some of those long-term regional partnerships that we can set up, those strategic partnerships to ensure that we're not just drawing from one source or two sources, but how are there multiple sources within our community here that we can draw upon in case that's needed. Also, what are we doing with getting into what Mr. Armstrong had mentioned to make sure is everyone following some of those guidelines that are set out for utilizing water to help conserve water. What are we doing to help our residents if there is a system leak? And that even goes into some of the infrastructure, like how are we building and developing to make sure that we're trying to have really good infrastructure set up so that we're not having our residents and even our buildings are not running into some of those leak systems, or how are we putting different measures in place so that they can act upon that stuff as well. But I think really working with our community leaders, city partners to see what is it what's the current plan that they have right now? What can we do to be more strategic in our approach to think long term? It's like you have to think about what's going on now, but we also have to plan for long term and some of that long term growth so that we can make sure that we have stability in our water. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question will go first to Ms. Fishback. How do you think the city could improve opportunities and services for veterans?
So that's a great question. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I'm also the wife of a retired Air Force personnel, and we're very invested in our community through our church and through other organizations. I think that trying just to reach out to our local veterans, right? I think it would be great. I've not heard that there's a veterans group, but it would be great if we could start one up, right? Just to have them have some camaraderie, some socialization with like-minded individuals would be amazing. I think that there could be a possibility where we can have organizations that can actually also reach out to them, right? Those who might be homebound, those that maybe we can go and visit and just share some time with them, right? Or maybe even bring them to some of our community events. If they're unable to leave their house, maybe we can establish something like that. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. I can't, I would have to really think more about it as to how to organize something like this. But I think that because we have a high concentration of military in our area, retirees, that it would be a great idea if we can get them together, and so that they can, talk their war stories, talk, because they'll have those connections. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Patterson, how do you think the city could improve opportunities and services for veterans?
I think some of the things that the city can do is, first of all, kind of help amplify what we currently have in place. I know on social media, I will see that veterans will get together within Cibolo and, they'll meet at different restaurants and coffee shops to help build some of that camaraderie. Well, I see that on isolated different pages, but how is the city actually advertising for some of those initiatives to get some more participation and more veterans involved so that they can, or how can the city help foster really those community connections? I think another thing is communicating some of the opportunities with the HOAs as well, so that they can spread that within their own community pages, so that we can really expand upon the knowledge and making sure that even if you aren't a veteran or military affiliated, you still know about that. So when you meet someone, word of mouth is the best thing. And you can say like, oh, hey, have you heard, this community organization meets, or what are some of the different government agencies we have around? How can we bring them in? What are resources that are available? Because there's things for, workforce development, education, training. There's so many different resources and tools available. It'd be really good to make sure that we have our community that's connected and knowledgeable about that. And then even getting after one of the issues that we have in the city with mental health, and making sure that our veterans know where can they go if they need help. How are we as a community coming up with these initiatives and helping each other out, so that we know like, hey, we want to make sure that you have this camaraderie, that we're ensuring that we're honoring everyone, our veterans, our military families, our military children, and military spouses during some of those observance months, and really just pushing that messaging out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong, how do you think the city could improve opportunities and services for veterans?
Well, I will say that I am, of course, retired U.S. Army, not Air Force, Miss Fishback. I'm sorry. Um, Also, I'm a member of the Veterans of Foreign War on 78. There's DAV that get together, all these American Legion, they all get together. Now, as far as the city reaching out to them, that's a different point. They're out there, the veterans are meeting in the different organizations. It's just a matter of the city reaching out. On November 11th, we have in Shirts, we're going to have a parade rest there, or the uh, uh, Veterans of Foreign War. I'm sorry. So it's just a matter of the city Shirts, Converse, and Cibolo reaching out. They're there. The veterans meet among themselves. As far as the city's reaching out, I don't know. I guess you have to have maybe someone at the city reaching out to the different organizations, but they really take care of themselves a lot, and they're very close within each organization. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask another question. Starting with Mr. Armstrong. The 2026 budget includes funding for a parks master plan and small increases in parks operations. What do you feel are priorities for those spaces?
Well, I was at the council meeting when the parks met on that, and it's important. They laid out their plan to the council, It's among the mayor and the 7 people on the council to decide what's going to happen to the parks. They are expanding. They're trying to beautify the parks and take care of the parks and expand the parks and the beautification. That's what I know about that. Maybe the ladies, Miss Fishback or Miss Patterson, would know something different on that.
Okay, Ms. Fishback, the 2026 budget includes funding for a parks master plan and small increases in parks operations. What do you feel are priorities for these spaces?
Well, yeah, thank you for that question. And so our parks, we have several parks and they've been neglected over the years, right? There's a lot of wear and tear. And I'm glad to hear that we do have some money in the budget to help beautify some of these places. It's not going to be big, but it will give them kind of freshen them up, kind of clean them up, right? Make them nicer and more attractive so that our families, our walkers, we have trails also that run through some of our parks. It would be great to get those cleaned up and spruced up so that it's more inviting for our community, because we're about community and the parks certainly do that for our city. And so I'm really glad to hear that. I've also been not part of the conversations, but I've been hearing the conversations with city council. And so this, I think, is going in the right direction to beautify it. Not a whole lot of money, but I think it'll be enough to at least spruce them up a bit and make them a little bit more inviting.
Thank you. Ms. Patterson, the 2026 budget includes funding for a parks master plan and small increases in parks operations. What do you feel are priorities for these spaces?
I think some of the priorities for the spaces is just making sure that we are creating a welcoming environment. What I really like is that the city actually put a survey out to allow residents to respond on what they want to see. And I think that's one of the most important things is making sure that we're getting that resident feedback. Is it more pickleball courts do they want? Do they want more walking trails, a better sports complex, so that you do want to go out to these spaces and that it is inviting for our kids to go out and play sports and run around and have a good time, and for our families to promote that physical activity of, let's go for a family walk around the park, or getting runners out and just getting people out and moving, feeling the sun, but also you're building that community with each other. Maybe you're meeting friends there, fat families are gathering there, or you have everyone playing, there's a sporting event going on and the community's coming out to support them. So really just making sure that we have a welcoming park, but also that's safe too. So maybe getting some of those sidewalks fixed so it's just a little bit more up to standard, to ensure that it's equitable for everybody in our city to enjoy our parks. I think it's so vital to make sure that we have that. And I'm glad that we're putting money towards it, because it does bring that sense of community and just bringing people together. But again, there's a survey out there, so I really hope our citizens of Cibolo are letting their voices be heard and putting in there what you want, so we make sure we're putting your tax dollars to good worth.
Okay, thank you all so much. Next are your closing remarks. Ms. Patterson, you will go first and you will each have 1 minute. Ms. Patterson, your closing remarks.
Hi, all right. Thank you, everyone. Maricela Patterson, candidate for Cibolo City Council, place 3. Again, my commitment, really easy. Top 3 things is just making sure that I am listening to you, advocating on your behalf, and getting after our smart, sustainable growth, getting after community safety, and getting after just some innovative solutions for our own community. How are we using data and budgets and partnerships so that we can solve problems not only efficiently, but effectively? Military family member here, really grateful for this opportunity to be running to really represent our city in this capacity and serve in this role. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong, your closing remarks.
Yes, Joe Armstrong, running for place 3, City Council. I'm dedicated to preserving Cibolo's heritage and building its future. Fiscal responsibility is very, very important. Efficient and effective use of taxpayers' money. And of course, on public safety, a strong support of police and fire and emergency services. Thank God we got them. And to match development and infrastructure and quality of life. Any one of these any one of us on here would do a good job within the council. I will say that. And it's a pleasure to be here today. And I thank the Women's Council. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Fishback, your closing remarks.
Hi, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. My name is Maria Fishback. I'm running for City Council, Cibolo Place 3. Again, I am one of you. This is my community. I love my community. I'm vested in my community. The things that I care about are the same things that I've heard my neighbors talk about, right? The property taxes, our infrastructure, our first responders. And I'm committed to making sure that we can grow our sales tax revenue base so that we can have the funds that we need to better fund all of these different areas that we need to improve upon and to grow. And I look forward to serving as your city councilwoman. I'm here to serve you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
For your participation. A reminder to voters, the deadline to register or update your registration is Monday, October 6th, and early voting begins October 20th. The League's online nonpartisan election information and resource links, including local ballot items, are available via our website, lwvcomal.org, and at vote411.org, beginning October 6th. If you enter your home address on vote411.org, you can see the issues and candidates that will be on your ballot, compare candidate responses to League questions, and much more. This ends our recording.